So I bumped into one of the Midlands audit partners the other day, and I was talking to him, and he was explaining how he's really seeing a change in the length and purpose of meetings with his CFO, and just how things have really changed over the last few years. And he was really calling out that it's so evident that our role is around making life easier for the CFO, and there is a real ask, up front by the CFO in terms of, whereas perhaps some meetings in the past could have been a bit meandering. I think there's a real focus on making sure those interactions are valuable and have purpose and have an outcome.
And do you think that that's changed massively over the last 5 years, or is it? I mean, why do we think? Because we hear a lot about this sort of intelligent empathy and really understanding kind of what is the what's the sort of things that keeping the CFOs awake at night. But we're proactively asking these questions, and we're finding a lot of time having these discussions. Do you think that's an evolution of the CFO role, or is it just human nature that we are wanting to make our lives more easy?
I think it's bound to have an impact on evolving the role of the CFO, but my view is it's absolutely down to the fact that we're in such a digital age where people seem to have less and less free time because we're all scrolling, we're all kind of keeping up to date on whatever's going on in the world. So I think it brings some benefits, because it means that, certainly the meetings that I'm having with my clients and what I'm hearing from other partners is there is much more focus on, I think I said before, focus on outcome. And I think it's so important that we're in tune with that to really kind of build the relationship with our clients on that basis.
I mean, it happens, that relationship building piece starts from the very first conversation that we have, and like you say, we're winning a lot of work at the moment in the market, and when we have the debrief with the client at the end, they don't turn around and say you were the best because a technical aspect of what we were talking about. It wasn't because necessarily they were picking out the fee. A lot of the times we're not the cheapest out there. But a lot of what they were talking about is that degree of comfort and trust that they had in us and how we would operate with them. And whether it's we've got the credentials in that space that gave them that degree of comfort, but a lot of the time it's that compatibility piece. So it was just like, you guys kind of get me. You understood how businesses like mine, whether it's private equity backed or privately owned, AIM listed, whatever it might be. There's that kind of, X factor piece that they say, you really understand the pressures that I'm seeing and I'm feeling, and that level of empathy and understanding and finding a way around that. That's the thing that what I really care about when it comes to actually changing my auditor or working with an advisor that's really going to add value. And I think that's the thing for me. I think that's come through a lot louder because, like you said earlier, we do operate in a competitive environment. There's lots of different noises that are going around in terms of what's going to be important. But for me, I mean, as speaking to the team the other day, it's the human aspect. It's like, are we, do we really understand what our businesses, what our CFOs are feeling about this right now, and how do we help them?
It's part of, certainly an obsessive part of our training is around making sure that people are equipped to be able to actively listen and and then take action from that. I'm certainly seeing in my client base a brilliant obsession with planning, which makes our life so much easier, because if we're having those conversations and we're really listening to it, replaying, it just means that everything's really, really smooth. But we've got to make sure that all of our people are definitely trained around being able to listen. It's a skill, isn't it, as you say, but it makes the difference.
Absolutely. And if you were to look at the businesses that we're talking to that aren't clients at the moment but have got to a point where something just isn't working with their incumbent, again, it doesn't come down to something super technical. It comes down to this human factor of, like, to your point, they're just not listening to me, or if I tell them one thing, I'm having to repeat it the next day or the next week from that perspective. And it's an interesting, who'd have thought in 2026, here we are talking about what's really giving us a competitive advantage. It's about just being human and having conversations, listening.
Even more so, isn't it? As you say, with everything. Yeah.
That's good.